Hello and welcome to our live demo of our P4 project, which is our healthcare application that we have made, sundhedsapplikation in Danish, and where we will showcase our website that we have built. Before we actually go ahead and show our website, it's very important that we open up our server to start with. We have made a PostgreSQL server, so the way you open up our server is that you find our server, which is sundhedsapplikation. You right click on it and you click connect to server. And then you enter the password that you have to your server. When you are inside the server, one quick way to actually see if it is up and running is that you can always do a query call to it. Doing a simple query call like selecting everything from a table, in this case users. We know it's up and running if we get an output. And in this case, it's up and running because we have all our columns, but we have no users in it. So now that our server is up and running, we can actually start to show our website. Before you actually go ahead, you need to be clicking on the app.py. It's very important, it's this file, because this is the main entry point of the whole application. This is the file you have to run in order to run all the other files. When you're inside this file, you just right click, or there's probably other ways you can run a Python script, but personally I just right click, use run Python, and then run the Python file in terminal. Again, there's countless other ways you can do it, but this is just one way I desire. Now you can see that the website is running on two servers, I should normally say, but it's actually on your computer. It's running on the local host or on your private IP address. It doesn't really matter which one you take. I will just take the local host, but it's pretty much the same. It's still your computer. That is the web server. If we open it up, we can see that we are now inside the application, and it greets us with the welcome to minsundhed.dk or welcome to myhealthcare.dk. We have three options. One is log in as a patient, another is log in as a healthcare personnel, and the third is a register. It can be argued if the register even should be here, because it doesn't really make sense that a normal person like me or a random person can click on the register and register themselves as a healthcare personnel or patient. It can be argued that it needs to be an admin, website admin, a healthcare personnel, or someone third who actually registers all the patients and the healthcare personnel. We have only made this function here to demonstrate the functionalities of the website and to show that we can actually implement functions such as registering users. So view this button as a hidden functionalities only admins can see. So that would be a perfect example. Now welcome to the second part of the live demonstration. We are now inside the register page of our website. Here we can register a patient, which is a P, or a healthcare personnel, which is a H. We will now try to register a patient just to show the functionalities. There are three other fields that are mandatory to fill out. One of them is a username, second is a password, and the third is an email. For a username, let's just try something as my user. So my user. And for a password, we can try my user 123. And for an email, I will just use my own personal email, but you can, in theory, use any email you want. There are some limitations to the email. I will show that later. But right now, you can use whatever email you want. If we click register, we should be registering a user, or actual patient, but in actuality we cannot, because there are some restrictions to the actual input fields and what you're actually inputting. We get the error message the password is not strong enough. The passwords need at least one special character, and the password must not contain 3 consecutive digits, and the password must include at least one uppercase letter. We have done these restrictions to prevent or actually make it harder for an attacker or someone with ill intent to actually steal user's information, because the harder your password is, the harder it is for an attacker to actually get in. So that's why we have done this. So if we try again with a username my user, we now have to find out of a password we can use instead of my user 123. Well, we know 123, we can have 3 consecutive digits, so we will try 124. So the password is now my user 124, and M is capital. Now we need a special character. For this, we again have made some limitations to what special characters you can use, and these are the special characters that you can use. So we have an exclamation mark, an ampersand, slash, parentheses, equal sign, and so on and so on. For simplicity, we'll just use the exclamation mark. So if we put the exclamation mark, and then we need an email. Again, I use my personal email, and we click register. Now it should say registration successful. Please log in. We can actually check that this is correct, because if we run this script again, we can now see that our user or patient has just been submitted to the database. This is the first user. That's why it has the ID 1. And the username is my user. The password, this doesn't look like the password we actually inputted, but that's because before the password gets sent to the database, a piece of data called a salt is being appended to the password. So instead of my user 124 exclamation mark, it's actually my user 124 exclamation mark Q2VX something something. It's random. And then that password is getting hashed, and that's why we get this weird looking string. But don't worry, we don't need to actually input this hash string in our login page to actually logging in. So now we can go back to the home, and we can try to log in now. Welcome to this third part of the live demo. We are now in the login page for the patients. And if you recall, we just took the first button or the first option, which is login as a patient. There are 2 mandatory fields we need to fill out, a username and a password. And if we enter my user, because that's our username, and my user 124 exclamation mark with a capital M, and we click login, we should be redirected to another page. And this is the 2FA or two-factor authentication verification page, where we need to enter a 2FA code. If you recall, the email we provided was my personal, but you can use whatever you want. If we go back to my email, you can see that we got the code at 9:15 p.m., which is right now, and you can see we have this password. The code expires in 10 minutes. So if we copy it, and just for fun, I will try to show what happens if we type something that's not correct. We click verify. It just deletes it, and if you do it wrong 2 more times, you will get redirected to the home page. But if we actually input the right two-factor authentication code and we click verify, we are now inside the user dashboard. We can see our health journal. Right now there is nothing because this is a clean patient. It has never been to the hospital or road to a doctor or anything. And then we can write to a doctor and we can log out. Welcome to this fourth part of our live demo. Now we will try to showcase how we can write to a doctor. So we can click on this button called write a doctor, or write doctor simply, and you can input a message. It can be anything really, so let's just say help, I have broken my 2 legs, exclamation mark. If you click OK, you will be greeted with this message. Your message has been sent successfully. We can verify this by going back into the terminal and see that we haven't received any 404. Actually, we have received a 200, meaning an OK. Our post was OK and it was well received. We can also verify it inside our PostgreSQL server. If we select everything from our inquiries, we can see right now is empty, but the moment we execute the script, we can see that we actually have an inquiry ID of 4, a username, which is my user, the one we currently logged in with, and that user has a unique user ID 1, and with the email, which is my personal email, and then the message help, I've broken my 2 legs. We can try to add another message. My scalp is itching. Help. Help. Again, okay, same procedure. It will be sent successfully. You can verify it in the terminal, but again, we can run the script in our PostgreSQL, and we can now see we got another row. This time the inquiry ID is 5. This is always incremental. And the first 3 messages has been testing. That's why it starts on 4, but it should start on 1, but I have used the 3 first messages as testing. And then we can see again the user ID never changes. It's always unique to the user. And again, the email also doesn't change, only the message and of course the inquiry ID. In this 5th part of the live demo, we quickly want to showcase that we can also log out. But again, if we click on My Health Journal, still nothing is showed up because we still need the doctor to actually reply to us. It's not enough that we just write a message. We need to have received some information from the doctor. So we will try to log out and we will try to do the register part again, but this time we will do it as a healthcare. Welcome to this 6th part of our live demo. Now we will try to showcase how you register a healthcare or doctor or nurse. We will use all these different terms, but it refers to the same thing, which is someone who works in the healthcare industry. So the registration page is completely the same as when you want to register a patient. We have 3 fields we need to fill out: username, password, and email. For username, I just chose my doctor. For password, I chose my doctor 124 exclamation mark with a capital M. We still need to fulfill the same password requirements. And for the email, because I already used my personal, I will now be using my student mail. Then when you have done that, you need to choose your type, and here you have to be careful not to choose P, but you have to choose H for healthcare. When you're ready, you click register. You will see registration successful, please log in. We can verify this by running the SQL script. So when we run it, we will now see that my doctor has been successfully added, and it has a unique ID, which is 1. It's 1 because it's the only one in the table, and it's also incremental. The password, again, it's your password plus a salt and then hashed. We have our email, and then we have our type. So now we go back, and now we will try to log in as a healthcare personnel. So this is our 7th part of our live demo. So now we will try to log in as a healthcare personnel. Again, this is completely the same as logging in as a patient. We fill in our credentials, so in this case it's my doctor instead of my user, and my doctor 124 exclamation mark instead of my user 124 exclamation mark. So we simply log in, and then you can see you get a message: login successful, check your email for the 2FA. And again, I can use my personal, so I have to use my student mail, and here we go. We just received it, so it's 26 minutes past midnight, and it's 26 past midnight here. So we copy the code, and we go back here, and we paste it in. And now we're in the doctor's dashboard. This is the 8th part of the live demo. Now I will show you 2 things you can do, actually 3 things, but 2 of them is very important. One is that you can view all the messages from the patients, and you can write to a patient. And then of course you can log out, which both the patient and healthcare can do. So if we click on view patient messages, you can see that we can see all the messages from all the different users. You can see my user have written 3 times: health, I've broken both my legs, my scalp is itching, and then I just did another test by just writing nice. But we can also write to all the patients we have. As you can see, when we click write patients, this is popping up, this diff, and here you can choose the users. Because we only have 1 user right now, we can only choose 1 user. But we can choose that user, and we can enter a message saying prescribed painkillers for broken legs. I don't really think painkillers will fix a broken leg, but let's assume it will. You click send message, you will see again message is saved successfully. So for this 9th part of the live demo, we will now see how we can verify that this has actually been written into the patient's health journal. One way we can do this is that we can select everything from the journal. We can select everything from the journals, and we can see that the user with the user ID 1 has written in his or her health journal prescribed painkillers for broken legs. And we can see this is the 8th entry that has ever been written. And again, the 7 first entries was me just testing around to see if the functionalities was working. This will be counting from 1 if we'll start from the scratch and do a delete everything and so on and so on. But now we will also try to see if the patient can see these changes. So that will be the part 10 of the live demo. And now for this 10th part, we will see if the patient can actually see his or hers updated medical history. So again, we click login, and we log in as the user or patient we just created. And then we wait for the two-factor authentication code again. And this is my personal one. So there we go. We copy this and we put it in, submit. And when we click My Health Journal, we should be seeing what the doctor just wrote in the individual user's medical history. So if we click My Health Journal, we can see it says prescribed painkillers for broken legs. And again, we can keep on writing to the doctor, and we can keep on making more and more users. This is like a bare bone of how the project looks like. It's not something that's very fancy or has a lot of functionalities. Again, we were limited on time, and the project was not so much about designing in the sense of it has to be good looking, but more in sense of designing cybersecurity mechanisms and functionalities to the actual program or website. But this is probably it. This is the live demo. There's not so much more to show. That's all there is. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the video.